When hope is gone, undo this lock and send me forth on a moonlit walk. Release restraint level 0. Hey kids, wanna see a dead body?
Hi guys, this is the Void of the Ravenclaw. Welcome back to another fanfiction story. If you like this type of content, smash the like button and subscribe for future videos and updates that I do post on my community tab frequently. If you want access to any of my early content, check out the Discord. This is the bargain between an evil god and a villain, part 7. Let's continue where we last left off in our story, where Izuku is showing Izumi around the city. They're currently holding a conversation while waiting for the waitress so they can order food. As they're sitting down at the far end of the cafe, they begin to discuss topics. Well, they begin to discuss many topics, like the Cork Blast tournament. Was many topics they were talking about. Izuku had no problem interacting with the girl. He has plenty of practice interacting with normal people through his entire school career, or the entire time he's been in school. So, keeping his act intact. Sorry about that. Cat was knocking things over. Let's try this again. Izuku had no problem interacting with the girl. He's had plenty of practice interacting with normal people through his entire school career. So keeping his act intact was child's play for him. And Izumi never dug too deep into his personal business. So it was quite easy for him to act like a normal citizen, never drawing too much attention to himself, using each word he speaks purposely and cautiously and very carefully. And most people can't catch on how he phrases his words. That's how skilled he is when it comes to manipulating people only using his voice. So, what do you actually do for fun around here? Basically, what do you do for fun? That put Izuku in a pause. No one has ever asked a question like that before. No one has ever been general curious about him and what he does for fun, or anything about him in general, outside of his mother. So he was surprised by the question, but kept his expression composed. Nothing too exciting. I mostly like reading, spending time outside in the wilderness. And I do dabble in a couple things, like making inventions from devices and such not. I'm currently learning about robotics. Izumi was immediately interested. She's quite fond of making her own support gear. Izuku was surprised by the change of subjects and how easy they begin to bounce off ideas with each other. He found himself enjoying the conversation. It's not very often he could talk to someone and hold a conversation like this. Most people can't keep up with him because of his high intelligence. But the blonde sitting across from him is easily keeping up with him and easily keeping up with the conversation. Izuku helped her order whatever she wanted by translating it for her. They eventually took their order and drinks. After some time, the food finally arrived, as Izumi was eating a burger and fries, while Izuku got the same. It didn't take him long to finish eating. Izuku paid for the food and left the cafe shortly afterwards. Izumi connected her arms with his. She's too excited to see what this Quark Blast tournament is, to care about personal space. When they arrived, there was no activity. Normally there would be large lines of people trying to get into the place. But the place seems closed. There was 2 security guards guarding the front door of the Quark Blast Tournament Stadium. Izuku approached. "Sorry, kid, this place is closed temporarily." As a beautiful woman came busting out through the front door, wearing a lab coat with a cold expression. Then her cold expression turned into a gentle one as she spotted Izuku, her nephew, Hasashi's sister, on his side, on his dad's side of the family. Perfect timing, and she grabbed both preteens by the wrist and dragged them inside. "Stand down, guard dogs. He's with me. He's my nephew. Don't recognize the blonde, but if she's a friend with my nephew, then she can be trusted." Lulu Midoriya completely discard the guard dogs and pull them inside. It's not evident enough. They're not actually dogs, they're just guards. She just calls them guard dogs because they're security. Izuku's been in the stadium before, but the lobby seems different. He followed his aunt to the main area of the arena, filled with seats, empty seats, but seats nevertheless, scattered all around the arena. On the arena floor, there's nothing but several black metallic orbs scattered all around onto the tile of the arena floor, basically what I'm trying to say. They're big enough to fit a normal-sized human. Izuku's not really in depth of locating magic signatures. If he did, he would have been more cautious. What the hell is that? Excellent question. And you are? Izumi Bakugo. Oh, now I remember. You must be the daughter of my sister-in-law, best friend. Mitsuki, I believe her name was. I'm Lulu Midoriya. Now the pledgery is out of the way. Do you see, as she gestures the devices that's on the arena floor? It's a new type of technology that was developed for the Quark Blast tournament. The Quark Blast tournament is going through a restructuring. These new devices will provide the tournament with a little more kick to it. Inside, these devices will simulate realistic scenarios using the most advanced holographic technology. Of course, there's more involved, but she won't tell them that. That's classified. No one knows that these devices were made integrating magic, a new source of power that the government just discovered. Humans can't, normal people can't use magic. Their body's just not meant for it, but that doesn't mean they can't integrate it into technology. And can you see the large monitor scattered all around the arena? It will display what goes on in the different scenarios for entertainment. So what do you say, nephew? Wanna try it out? You too, Blondie. I'm not saying I'm not interested, but is it safe? Completely. Safeguards in place to prevent serious injury, I think. Like how you phrased that, Aunt. Stop being a smartass as she gently pushed them to the arena floor. Get in. Izuku got in, knowing that he would rather just do it and have her nagging or begging him to do it. But a part of him was quite curious, so he didn't really care too much. You can see there's small devices that you place over your temple of your forehead. They said latch on, they won't fall off once applied. Both Izumi and Izuku placed the small round devices on both of their temples of their forehead. Question is, what scenario I should use for this test run? Wait, this haven't been tested? Nope. As she took out a small device and activated the round devices therein with a bright smile. Both Izuku and Izumi was engulfed in a bright flash once the device is activated and closed up. When the green hair boy and blonde hair girl finally opened their eyes, they found themselves in the same type of round orbs that was on the stadium floor. Once they stepped out and opened it up, they found themselves in a ruined city. They don't recognize the city itself, but it's quite realistic. Lulu casually started a scenario. Oh, that's a good scenario. And the city's perfect for that. As she activated the zombie protocol with a vicious grin on her face. I'm definitely going to get good data of this. They might be traumatized a tad bit, but sacrifice is necessary for progress. They'll be fine. They can't die, at least I hope not. Oh well. I probably should have mentioned, I haven't really tested test out the safety measures either. Oh well, no reason to worry about over spilt milk. My nephew's a smart lad. He won't die, I hope. Izuku and Izumi began to walk through the ruined city. It was quiet, too quiet. Izuku and Izumi were immediately put on edge. It's a unnatural quiet. Who, on the other side of things, began to run analyzation on the data she's collecting. Her bodies can't be seen once they entered the devices. In truth, they're not even there anymore. They're in a pocket dimension using technology and magic. Pocket dimension that was made from her own design. Lulu has big plans for these devices. The old Cork Blast tournament was getting stale, so she decided to liven it up a tad bit. As a magical holographic window of Lulu appeared right in front of them. Good, everything's going well. Welcome to the future of the Cork Blast tournament. Welcome to Cerberus. what exactly type of scenario you got myself into. That would ruin the surprise, nephew. In order to win this scenario, you're going to have to eliminate the main target of the scenario and get back to the Cerberus orbs to return to the stadium. I'll be running analyzation and data through the entire scenario. Don't worry, you'll be able to use your quirk. I won't tell you how or why. It's classified. You're not defenseless. Have a good hunt and enjoy as the magical holographic image of Lulu disappear from the digital window. Well, digital screen, basically what it is. That's when they can hear sounds of screeching from deeper into the city. Which does fucking great. That sounds so inviting. Your aunt's batshit crazy. You're probably not wrong there. But there's only one way to find out. Izuku immediately created 2 bone daggers. Different design than the ones he used as Grim. Same thing with his floating skulls or Gaster blasters. He's going to use a different design when he uses them as Izuku Midoriya compared to the design he used when he's Grim. So they can't really connect the dots too easy. They'll just believe that he has a similar quirk to Grim. They might be suspicious, but they won't pin anything on him without any hard evidence. If anyone was watching the footage of this little test, Sniffy, Mom did mention you have some sort of bone manipulation quirk. Something like that. Do you need one? I'm good. As small pops of explosion started to go off in the palm of her hand. Everything felt so real. Even her powers felt real. She's uncertain if this is even a simulation out of advanced holographic technology. It feels so real. She could even smell the stale in the air and the cold wind. Everything clearly feels too real to be a holographic image. But she has no proof to prove otherwise. Izuku noticed it as well, but chose not to remark on it. He kept his guard up. As the sound started to get louder, the deeper they go into the ruined city. Is it just me here, green hair? But is the sun beginning to fall too quickly? Now that you mention it, yeah, the sun's beginning to fall. Way faster than it should. That's definitely not a good sign. And whatever in that city, I'm thinking of a sinking feeling. It's not too shy about the nighttime. When the sun finally sets and the moon was in the sky, the large black bell tower in the middle of the city, its only structure that wasn't damaged in any way, start to go off as a loud bell noise began to ring. Izuku kicked one of the doors to the building open and grabbed Izumi by the hand, pulled her inside and shut and locked the door. Before Izumi could say anything, Izuku placed a finger over her lips, stopping her from talking, making Izumi blush. Izuku could clearly hear footsteps running in their directions. They're both leaning against the window that has a crack, but it's not broken. Izumi's eyes widened when she saw a glimpse of a few of them. She's a big fan of zombie movies and games, so she knows a zombie when she sees it. As she whispered into Izuku's ear, "Fucking zombies, you gotta be fucking kidding me." One of the zombies looked through the window. They both hide before they were spotted. Izumi whispered once again to Izuku in his ear, What do we do? There's way too many to engage them right now. You might as well be banging the dinner bell if we go out now." "Agreed. Let's lay low for now until they spread out. Then we'll move out." Unfortunately, he doesn't have any of his equipment. Even if he did, he'd rather not people asking questions about how similar his equipment is to Grimm's equipment. The equipment he does have is directly for his villain activities. He can't openly use them in public as Izuku. He's going to have to make a separate set of inventions for that. Suddenly there was a loud animal roar as a large shadow cast upon the street level. It shook the glass. Not enough to break it, but there was definitely a vibration there. Izuku ran to the opposite window to see what was in the sky. Izuku's eyes widened, seeing a bona fide, zombified, flying dragon in the sky, hovering over the city, or flying over the city. I officially hate her. A bunch of zombies is bad enough. Now we have to deal with a zombified dragon. What god did I piss off? Izuku chuckled, finding this whole situation to be quite interesting and humorous. "You're enjoying this, aren't you? Guilty as charged. Come on." It looks like the street is deserted. It seems like the dragon scattered the rest of the zombies away from the area. From the immediate area. Izuku looked around the room to find a crate filled with supplies. I guess this is a supply crate. As he tossed Izumi a flashlight. As he grabbed the remaining flashlight in the crate. "Let's go." They left the building shortly afterwards, traveling cautiously through the street. They went down a dark alleyway because they saw a group of zombies up ahead. They haven't noticed them, so they immediately took the alleyway. They both stopped, dead in their tracks, as several zombies were climbing on the wall, heading towards their direction. "Hey Izumi, are you familiar with zombies? Is that normal?" Izuku knows about zombie movies, but he's never actually seen one. "Oh, I'm familiar, alright? No. Zombies are not supposed to move like that. At least not in the movies, or any of the games that I played." Get ready. It looks like we're on the menu. And clearly it's the special. The zombies slowly climb down more, and jump off the wall and land on the ground level, and start to charge, running forward, snarling, showing their teeth. Izumi stepped in front of Izuku and released a wide blast of her explosion, coming from her palm, to blast away the zombies. Izuku remained focused on the smoke. When the smoke cleared, the zombies were slightly damaged by burns, but they mostly were clearly intact. They slowly got up on their feet and began to charge forward once again. Izuku charged forward. So did Izumi. Izuku used his bone dagger to get in close and dodge one of the zombies' attempt to grab onto him and slam his bone dagger into the skull of the zombie, killing it. As the zombie fell to the ground, as the zombie body begins to dissolve into a black goo. Before the zombie could flank Izumi made a more but condensed explosion, blowing up the zombie's skull, killing the zombie instantly as the dead corpse fall to the ground, dissolving in the same black goo. Izuku stopped his assault, so did Izumi, noticing the two remaining zombies that hasn't been dealt with start to mutate as their muscles begin to break down and rebuild themselves. As their limbs started to grow longer, their hands turn into claw-like hands. As their human teeth pop out, being replaced with sharp rows of very sharp teeth. They lose their hair, and their skin turn midnight black. And the zombie begin to develop a second pair of eyes. 4 in total. Well, the mutated zombies have 4 eyes instead of 2. Izuku's watching that transformation with a odd fascination. Izumi, on the other hand, immediately grabbed Izuku and used her explosions to get the hell out of there. She's not going to stick around and find out exactly what these zombies were mutating into. As they flew and crashed right into one of the windows of a nearby building, they didn't stay long. They used the opposite window to get across to the other building on the other side. The gap wasn't too big, so it was easy to jump over to the other building. Luckily for them, the window was already open for them. Izumi immediately shut the window and closed the curtains. What the fuck was that? I swear your aunt is twisted. Fascinating. Really? I wish I could have witnessed it more, but I guess it'd be best to get out of the area while those two are developing. As Izuku peeked through the curtain to look at those mutated zombies, they have fully mutated and they're on the hunt for him and Izumi. As he watched the pitch black zombies with their claw-like fingers roam the streets, they're clearly far more taller because of their limbs extended. And the mutated zombies clearly got a lot more taller and probably a lot more dangerous. Why aren't you freaking out? One simple fact. This clearly isn't boring. And I hate being bored. Hate it so much that I agree with you. Despite being scared out of my mind, or being scared shitless, it's clearly not boring. I find it hard to convince myself that this is just a fake scenario. I know what you mean. It's so lifelike. I don't like you're enjoying this so much, and you really don't panic, do you? I'm not the panic type. It seems like your explosions attract more zombies as the streets start to fill up with dozens and dozens of zombies roaming around, trying to find the source of the sound of the explosion that went off earlier. As a zombie came out of nowhere, out of the pure darkness of the room, and grabbed onto Izuku from behind and tried to bite down on his neck, only for the zombie to bite down on a very thick layer of bone, breaking his teeth. Izumi kicked the zombie off of Izuku. Izumi is keeping her flashlight on the downed zombie, while Izuku created several small bone-like marbles in his hand and began to flick them into the zombie body, piercing right through the flesh. Eventually, the last bone marble was flicked into the forehead of the zombie, killing it instantly as it begins to dissolve into the same black goo that he saw earlier. Well, that was close. Thanks. No problem. I highly doubt you want that type of love bite. What exactly did you use to kill it? I just made some bone-like marbles, nothing too fancy. It's quite fascinating. When they're killed, they dissolve into that black substance. Goo, I guess. It gives off a disgusting smell, but it's still fascinating nonetheless. Let's go. There might be more zombies in this building. Got it. Izuku handed her a bone katana. Thanks, Izu. Izuku paid no mind to the new nickname Izumi gave him. Izumi's prideful, stubborn, but she's not stupid. She knows constant use of her quirk would do more harm than good. Close quarters like this in a building, it's not a good idea to use her quirk. She has no desire to display her fire. She's keeping that close to home. And having someone able to make bone weapons, it's quite handy. It's not as flashy as other quirks, but she knows Izuku's quirk is more than useful. It's quite versatile in several scenarios. They started to move from one room to another, using the flashlight to guide their path. They managed to clear out all the rooms except the metal door leading to the basement that had several claw marks on it. Well, that's ominous. I hope you're not thinking what I think you're thinking. If you know what I'm thinking, then there shouldn't be a problem. As Izuku kicked the metal door open, alerting anything that's inside the basement. They slowly walk down the stairs, using the flashlight to guide their path. It's a large basement. There's parts of the basement that the flashlights can't really reach. A black figure came running out of the shadows of the room and tried to slash Izumi with his black-like finger claws, basically. Only for Izuku to stop the fully mutated zombie from slashing by blocking the attack, the claw, with his bone dagger. Izumi kicked the mutated zombie away. It's the second fully mutated zombie so far came walking out of the shadow of the darkness of the basement. As both zombies begin to stalk the two of them by walking circles around them, like prey, like predator hunting prey. Referring to the mutated zombies, at least these mutated zombies, I don't know if there's going to be more in the future, because I do plan to come back to this in a later date when it comes to like a tournament or whatever. I might mix it up a little bit, but anyways, that's not really important. They're reverse stalkers. For future reference, the stalkers launch forward. Izumi was ready for it and swung with the bone katana. There was a slight spark when the bone sword made contact with the stalker's skin. Sparks was created like she just swung a bone weapon at a solid rock, boulder, or any solid surface of pure rock. The stalker immediately backed off. Izuku was keeping the other stalker busy by trying to find a weak point. Each time he attacked with his bone daggers. His bone daggers couldn't cut through the skin. It only made a slight spark with each attempt. Meanwhile, Izumi was studying her opponent carefully. She was uncertain if the stalker, black steel-like skin, can be penetrated if they even have a weak spot. She's a bit irritated. She's fighting an opponent that seems to have a tough skin where no weapon can penetrate. Izuku and Izumi, at the same time, leap back as they're now leaning against the back-to-back with each other, keeping an eye on their opponent. Izuku stomped his feet as dozens of bone spikes shot out of the ground, trying to impale the stalker in front of him, only for the bone spikes to shatter on impact. Izuku flicked the bone daggers in his hand into the ground, digging into the cement, into the hard ground. He charged forward, ducking under a claw swipe, and slamming his fist into the chest of the stalker, sending it skidding backwards. The black, steel-like skin began to crack. Izuku narrowed his eyes as the crack he just made begins to fix itself, like it was never damaged at all. Guess I have no choice. Izuku used a little bit of speed and flash step right behind the stalker, and grabbed him by the back of the skull and threw him into the second stalker that Izumi was gauging. Izumi noticed Izuku was about to do something, so she joined him. With a single snap of his fingers, two medium-sized Gaster Blasters, or floating skulls I'll refer to them as, because I don't want to keep using the name Gaster Blasters. That's what they are, but it's just a lot more confusing if I just refer to them as floating skulls. Two medium-sized floating skulls appeared on each side of the stalker. This was the first time Izumi is witnessing the floating skulls, or the Gaster Blasters version of Izuku's quirk. They're animal-like skulls begin to charge. Well, the two animal-like skulls begin to charge up energy. There was a bright flash of green light forward, flying towards each other. As the two beams caught the two stalkers, once they collided with each other, there's a bright flash. The building begins to shake. Even from the basement, Izumi could feel the vibrations. When the light receded, there was nothing left but ash. Holy shit. Let's get out of here. They probably heard that. I thought your quirk was blood manipulation, not energy manipulation. It's bone manipulation. It's a bit different. I call bullshit on that, but it still was amazing. Izumi couldn't help but be impressed by what she's witnessed so far. She knows he's strong, but she's quite curious on how she stacks up to him in any fight. She had to calm herself down. There's time and a place for that. For a place for something like that. But that's not the right time for her to have a spar with him. But for now, she needs to get through this zombie scenario. She knows she'll have plenty of time to test out Izuku's skills in battle. The moment they got upstairs to the first floor, they could hear loud noise slamming into the door as the zombies are trying to get in from the other side of the door, basically. As several stalkers came bursting, crashing right through the windows. Izuku and Izumi did not hesitate. They both jumped out of the nearest window, breaking the glass in the process, and landing on their feet. Then they immediately bolted in the same direction to get some much needed distance. Izuku used one of his very small version of his floating skull to keep an eye on behind him. He doesn't have to physically look behind him while he's running. And he wasn't surprised what he saw through his floating animal skull. That they're being chased by a large group of zombies and a couple of stalkers. The stalkers are gaining on them fast. We got stalkers incoming. They are gaining on us fast. Got it. Hold on to my waist. Izuku didn't hesitate, wrapped his arm around her waist. She spun around, facing the zombies, as Izuku has both his hands over her waist, as she unleashed a powerful explosion from both of her hands, blasting the nearby stalkers, and caught a few of the zombies in the blast, sending them flying backwards, and sending both Izuku and herself blasting backwards, at the same time, gaining some much needed distance. Izuku picked up Izumi in his arms, making her yelp in surprise, as he ran, carrying Izumi in his arms, as he kicked down the gate and sat her down and locked the gate back up and began to climb the ladder, going all the way up to the water tower. Once they climbed the ladder all the way to the top, on the water tower, the water tower seemed to be remodeled, because clearly a metal door is not supposed to be there, but yet there's a metal door on the side of the water tower. They stepped inside as Izuku flipped the nearby switch. Inside the water tower was a decent-sized studio with power. He locked the door as a familiar magical digital screen appeared, showing Lulu once again. So how are you liking it so far? It's very interesting. Interesting is not the word I would use. Are you trying to give us nightmares? It's bad enough we have to deal with normal zombies. Now we have to deal with mutated zombies. And a goddamn zombified dragon flying around. Relax. You're not gonna die. At least I don't think. Let's get down to business, Ant. What are we targeting? You haven't told us what our target is while we're in this simulation or scenario or whatever it is. You mentioned that. You've already seen it already. What are you talking about? You crazy bitch. You want us to kill that dragon? A zombified dragon, by the way. Smart girl. I knew there was a reason why I liked you. Yes, your target is that very same flying zombified dragon you saw earlier. But in order to get to your target, you most likely have to go to the other side of the city while dodging all the zombies and stalkers on the way. And I should warn you, the zombies do have more than one mutation stage. You've only seen the first stage. But fortunate for you, in this scenario, they will only mutate once. So be careful. The mutated zombies are called stalkers. That's what I identify them as. That's how I designed them to be. Before I forget, time runs a bit slower while in Cerberus. So take your time. I'm getting really good data. Keep up the good work as the magical digital screen dissipated. Izumi was irritated. She growled. And she ran her fingers through her blonde hair, calming down. I don't like that expression. You're enjoying this way too much. What can I say? It's not every day you get to hunt down a dragon. It might be a zombie dragon, but it's a dragon nevertheless. Now we know what we're hunting. We just gotta figure out where it's nesting up. Before we end this part, well, I don't think I mentioned it clearly, but the Gaster Blasters and the Bone Weapons look different compared to when he makes it, when he's being grim. So they can't connect the two. So I just want to make sure that was explained a little more thoroughly, so there's no confusion. Why no one thought, this quirk looks very familiar to Izuku, so there's no, so I could get that plot hole out of the way. Alright guys, I'll catch you in the next part.